In today's video, I am going to be telling you why I chose Webflow to build the Unicorn Factory, my freelancer marketplace, and I'm also going to share my thoughts on how to choose the right tool for your online marketplace. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Connor, and on this channel I help people who cannot code build online businesses with no-code tools like Webflow, Airtable, and Zapier. So last week I started a brand new series on this channel where I answered your questions, and in this week's question I am answering a question from Maximilian, who posted this question on the Everything Marketplaces online community. Hey Connor, thanks for doing this. To me it seems the only really viable solutions are Sharetribe or Pairi for marketplaces, and I evaluated pretty much every other tool I could find on Makerpad or the web. The question is now, why did you build on Webflow, and how was your thought process? I feel like I'm stuck in analysis paralysis and could use some help. So this is a fantastic question that I feel comes up quite a lot, especially with people who are just getting into the no-code space and then discover that there's so many different tools out there now that solve so many different use cases. And obviously you want to make sure that you do pick the right tool, because hopefully you're going to be using the tool or tools that you choose for a very long time. Now, before I dive into the answer, I would very much appreciate if you could leave a quick like on this video. Also, if you are interested in learning more about no-code, marketplaces, and setting up online businesses as a non-developer, then subscribe to the channel. I make a whole bunch of content that will help you get your business up and running. But with all of that being said, let's get into the answer. So there are a few different points that I want to make about choosing the right tool or tools for your online marketplace, but probably the most important one and the first kind of mindset shift that you need to make before even looking into different tools is that you are very unlikely to find the perfect tool. Now, there are a whole bunch of tools out there that you can use to build online marketplaces. So you have tools like Sharetribe, you have Bubble, you have Pairi, you have the Webflow, Airtable, and Zapier stack. But after having spent a lot of time in the no-code space, the one thing that you'll find is that no tool is perfect. Each tool will have certain strengths, but will also have certain areas that they lack in. So let's take Webflow for example. Webflow is the best design tool that you can use to create really beautiful mobile responsive front end. The SEO in Webflow is fantastic, but on the flip side, Webflow pretty much has no backend functionality. They don't have native user accounts and all those types of things, which means that you are actually going to need to use third-party tools in order to build the functionality that you oftentimes see in marketplace platforms. Even when you then use third-party tools like MemberStack or Integromat and Zapier, you are still going to find yourself in a situation where there'll be a lot of things that are not very easy to build with no-code tools. For example, transactional payments that are very common in online marketplaces is something that's very, very difficult to do with the Webflow, Airtable, and Zapier stack. In contrast to Webflow, we have tools like Bubble that are very, very good at building back-end functionality and really building app-like platforms that might be more suited to building online marketplaces. Now, one thing that you can do with Bubble, for example, is build user accounts. You can process payments and connect it to Stripe Connect, and everything happens natively. But the downside with Bubble is that the front-end experience just isn't as good as in Webflow, and also the SEO side of things is also something that very much lacks inside of Bubble. And then you have these in-between tools that solve very specific use cases like Marketplace, and a classic example of that is Sharetribe, and they allow you to customize certain aspects of the front end, certain aspects of the back end, but you definitely are way more limited in how much you can customize it, because the actual platform is built for certain or at least common use cases, which means that if you are going to try and do something that goes outside of the template that is provided to you, you'll have a really difficult time. So no matter what tool you choose, I'm actually convinced that you'll be able to build a successful marketplace with either one of those tools. And there are a whole bunch of different examples of businesses that were built off the back of, say, the Webflow, Airtable, and Zapier stack, Sharetribe, and Bubble. So ultimately, what tool you end up choosing will not be the biggest determiner of your success. I do, however, find that it is very important to think about what your overall strategy will be for your platform, and especially also for bringing your platform to market, because that can very much influence what tools you should end up choosing to build your online platform. So an example of that is if your main strategy for getting customer is going to be SEO and organic traffic, then you probably want to look into a tool that is very, very good in that department. On the other hand, if you are not worried about traffic, you've already got a way to get customers to your website, but it is very important for you to have the functionality that allows you to process payments, then you'll probably want to look into something a lot more like Bubble. On the other hand, if you just want to get something up and running fast, validate your market, you don't care too much about the design aspect of it, and you also don't have plans for heaps of features, but speed is of the matter, then you would probably want to look into a tool like Sharetribe. So in short, the first thing that you're going to have to do before you look into different tools is you're going to need to figure out what the most important aspects are for your MVP or for your overall strategy for your marketplace, rank them, and then choose a tool that works best given your preferences and priorities. Now again, I just want to remind you that no matter what happens, you're very unlikely to find a tool that ticks every single one of your boxes. Especially if you have a very long-term vision for your platform, you will have to probably say no to certain features, at least in the beginning. And if there are certain things that you just cannot say no to, then it's probably best to look into building a custom version of your platform. But that will require developers, it will cost more money, and it will also take a bit more time. Another big important factor to keep in mind is what your current skill set is and how involved you want to be in the actual product build. So if, for example, you are already experienced using Webflow, then it makes a lot of sense to just try and build your MVP with Webflow. On the other hand, if you know your way around Bubble, then choose Bubble, because no matter what, if you are starting from scratch, you're going to have to invest a bit of time in learning how all of the different tools work. And that in itself is quite a commitment to make. So if you are already experienced in one of those tools, then I would just commit to that because you'll cut out that learning time involved with it. And then the last thing that I want to say about choosing the right tools for your online marketplace is that the product side of things is not everything. You will also need to take into consideration the marketing aspect of your business, and especially how you are going to generate traffic for your website. This is oftentimes something that I think people overlook at the beginning because obviously the product side of things seems a lot more important, but then 2-3 months down the track, they just have no way of generating any organic traffic whatsoever, and then they start looking into different tools that probably do a better job. So you can save yourself a lot of headache by just doing a little bit of research into that before you get started. And that brings me to the final part of this video, and that is, why did I choose Webflow, Airtable, and Zapier to build the Unicorn Factory? So the first reason is I was already using Webflow before I started using the Unicorn Factory. So one of the reasons why I actually started the Unicorn Factory is because I saw a use case of someone building an online marketplace with Webflow, and it was in fact the Webflow Experts Marketplace, and that kind of showed me what was possible with those tools. So instead of picking certain tools based off my idea, I actually got inspired by Webflow Experts and used that as the starting ground to build the Unicorn Factory. So in that sense, it kind of worked the other way around. The tools kind of were already there and I was using them, and the idea came after. The second consideration that I had was that it is pretty expensive to get leads through paid advertising when you are advertising in the creative industry space. You're obviously competing against agencies and other freelancers, so I needed to find a way to generate a lot of organic traffic because that would be a very cost-effective way to generate leads. And obviously Webflow has the best SEO out of all website building tools out there, which made it kind of a bit of a no-brainer. And over time, it just proved to be a very good decision because the SEO on my site really kicked in, and I've gotten most of the leads through the website through organic traffic. And then finally, for the MVP, I just didn't need a fancy backend for the freelancers. The main problem that I was trying to solve was to help freelancers get work, and having a Webflow form as well as a workflow inside of Zapier that would allow me to automatically forward on those leads to the freelancers pretty much ticked all of my boxes. And then over time, more and more tools came out like MemberStack that allowed me to add a little bit more to the platform, for example monetization and stuff like that. And so in terms of the most important requirements that I had, the Webflow, Airtable, and Zapier ticked all of my boxes. And so that concludes what my thoughts are on picking the right tool for your online marketplace. If you are still a bit 50-50 between different tools, then my recommendation would be to flip a coin, pick one, and commit to it for 3 months. At the end of the day, the product side of thing is just a small cog in the overall wheel, which is your business. And if you spend too much time over analyzing that particular aspect of your business, you'll never get it off the ground. People will never give you the feedback that you need that will give you actual insights on the types of things that you should be prioritizing, and it will be very difficult for you to make money off your site or to actually help people in your market succeed. So hopefully this was useful. If it was, please leave a like on this video. Also, if you have any questions for any future videos, let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, thank you so much for sticking around for the entire video, and I'll see you back here for the next one.